What's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, bringing you the C3 podcast. That's right, it's Tony Dunn, and it's Tuesday night, 10 o'clock, talking Panthers football. I'm here with my homeboy, Mel Mayock, the Nomad. He's back in action. Welcome back.
What's going on, Professor? Happy to be here, man. Lots going on. It's the off season, but got lots to talk about, a lot of fun things to get onto, so looking forward to it, man. Favorite night of the week.
We are excited, folks. It's the C3 podcast. That's right. It's the premier Panthers podcast. We are going to have a great show for you tonight. It is episode 15.17, running down the receivers and running backs. And I'm most excited, guys, because once again, the C3 crew landed another great interview with, that's right, oh boy, Jarrett Boykin. And we're going to bring that to you about a half past the hour. But we're going to talk about Cam Newton, his comments. Is he cocky? Is he confident? We're going to talk about Kony Ealy. Is he ready for a breakout season? And we're going to break down the roster, focusing on the wide receiver spots and the running back positions. And you know it. That Jarrett Boykin interview, guys, that's what you guys are really here for. That's what you're waiting, and it's going to be a good one. Talked to him yesterday, and I'm excited to bring that to you tonight.
Hey,
Before
Professor,
we jump, yes, sir.
Let me just say, man, for all the freaking Puerto Rican groupies out there, no worries. Joe Riolano will be here live and in person in about 10 minutes.
You can't hold the freaking Puerto Rican back. That's right. He's coming to you. Guys, before we jump in, you can tweet the show using the hashtag C3. You can check out all the hottest news at CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can follow us on Facebook. In fact, just go ahead and do it. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We'd appreciate it. Give our video a thumbs up and a share. Give us a retweet. We need to grow. We want to grow. Panther Nation, we're growing. Also, you can download the podcast on iTunes or Stitcher tomorrow if you can't make it or listen to the whole show. As always, you can listen to us wherever you go on your favorite podcast player. All right. That's it. Now it's time, guys, for our very first segment of What's Hot on C3.
Austria. Good day, mate. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
No, I'm just getting warmed up. Here's Charlie facing the fire, and there's George hiding in Big Daddy's pocket.
Dylan and Dylan, because I spit hot fire.
Take a flamethrower to this place!
What's Hot on C3. It's that time where we break down what's hot in Carolina Panthers Nation and on CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Mel, we've had a good week on the website. A couple of stories been popping. 2 stories in a row on Kony Ealy. Started out with our boy Big Splash, Grant Hughes, jumping in there and talking a little bit about how he was uncertain, or should we say he was unhappy with the comments made by the media, particularly a Bleacher Report writer who said that Kony Ealy had a disastrous season. And then we popped off another story today by Andy Massey, that's right, the barkeep, who talked about how he believes that Kony Ealy is poised to have a breakout season. What do you think about this Kony Ealy week, Mel?
Hey, I thought it was pretty exciting, guy on Bleacher Report, he said disastrous rookie season, and I think Grant put him right in his place, and the guy came back a couple days later and said, hey, I guess I made the big time. Finally had the first article, somebody attacking me personally.
Well, it would have been cool if you wrote a good article to attack first, buddy, but
hey, Iced Up Sun candidate.
Yeah, true. Is the idea that I don't get this idea that anybody's saying Kony Ealy didn't have a good rookie season. I don't know what you expected out of his rookie season, but I think he performed more beyond expectations for me. Do you think part of it has to do with the idea that when you have a pick that kind of comes out of, I would say, a little out of left field, a little surprising pick in the second round that you're expecting him to make more noise. Why do you think this? Where do you think this came from, Mel? This idea that Ely didn't have all that great of a rookie campaign.
Well, to be taken 25th in the second round, and at one point going into the draft, he was projected as a first-round lock. Hey, first beer down, huh? So, I mean, when you got that kind of reputation and expectation put on you, and then you don't come out and have 10 sacks, I guess that's where they're coming from. But maybe we should have another discussion about, are Carolina Panther fans too sensitive? Because I'm feeling sensitive lately. I feel like my quarterback, who broke the passing records for the first 2 years, is being downplayed and saying he's underperforming. He's not living up to his potential. Now we got this. Are we being sensitive, or is there kind of a Carolina bias in the national media?
I think Carolina Panther fans are an entirely sensitive bunch. I think that anytime that you offer criticism on a player, even if it's measured, and I would say constructive, I feel like that they want us to, that a lot of our fan base believes that you're either 100% with us or you're not. And, for instance, I've taken a lot of flack about my Ted Ginn hate. There's some players that I necessarily don't really believe are that awesome, and I find that sometimes the media... Look, just take, for instance, the Mike Tolbert discussion.
Yeah, good point.
You want to see a little sensitivity. I felt like that is. But, I think also what happens is that a lot of that sensitivity comes from a real genuine place, from something that is true, and that the idea that the national media hasn't really paid all that much attention to Carolina. And then the first time they do, it's with Cam Newton and his immaturity. It's Cam Newton in the towel. It's never, it wasn't really, they never latched onto anything great to begin with. And I think that we feel as a fan base a little jaded over that.
Yeah, I think so. So I think it's a little bit of both. I think we are a little bit sensitive, but I think that's part of being a fan. It's part of being a small market team.
Right.
Right. I mean, and it's a part of bias. I mean, folks, they just look at stats, or they just look at something and they see, hey, Coney Ely was supposed to be great. He didn't have a whole lot of sacks last year, so he must have sucked. Well, actually, you did a great article last year talking about how ProFootballFocus.com, one of the most respected judging websites out there on each player, they watch every single play from every single player, and they actually said he had some stretches in the season where he was very highly rated, did some very good things, and as the year went on, those last 3 or 4 games, I thought he looked very good.
Yeah, I think that too, when you look at it from the outside, is that you've got to fill something up in 2 minutes. The idea, this might be one of the things that's kind of the knock on our podcast, like, going to take off like to the national realm, other than that we're Carolina homers, that nobody cares about us. Right. But the idea that everything's got to be quick hitting, because we try to get in here and we try to break down the roster. We try to get into it beyond just scraping the surface. But when you're relegated to 30 seconds to 45 seconds to a minute and a half, what are you going to talk about? Are you going to talk about this? Are you going to say things like, look, defensive end is one of the more difficult positions to transition to. Historically, you don't see these guys coming in and making an impact. You can look at these guys taking 2 years, and then you break down why. You've got offensive linemen that are playing chess while you're playing checkers. As a defensive guy, your moves, 1 and 2 moves, don't work as much anymore. So this. You can look at this. You can see, look, there's only been a couple of defensive ends that have come in and been really highly productive in their first year. And Julius Peppers was one that I can think of, but I can't think of many other than that. You're talking about, like Charles Johnson. Would you rate him one of the top defensive ends in the league? I would.
Yeah, and it took him 2 to 3 years before he really did anything.
And beside an elite guy in Julius Peppers, right? And learning how to train with him, still trains with him to this day. You can see the same thing with Greg Hardy. And I'm sure if we looked outside Carolina, we would see a similar kind of dynamic. So I don't think it's a sexy storyline. I don't think it's sexy to say that, hey, this guy working hard. But he did put in a good season. I like to see what he does in year 2. I won't make my decision on him until year 3, though.
That's fair. That's fair. But I like the path that he's on. He's trending up.
I agree. He had a strong last season. I think that, too, another thing, Justin, we'll move on from Coney Ely after this, is that he got a lot more experience his rookie year in a positive manner, I think, than maybe a lot of rookies would have. Is that if he was a top end, he would have come into a program that stunk entirely, and he would have had all the attention on him. That would have made his development more difficult. He got kind of put in a place where he had some other guys to take some heat off of him, some attention, but he also, since Greg Hardy was gone, got a lot of reps. And I think that's healthy.
Yeah. No doubt about it.
All right. Also, what's hot on C3, Trey Boston is hot. Grant Hughes also put out a story saying that he was duped, was tricked by the Mel Mayox of the world, and or actually I should say Mike Mayox.
Yes. Don't let me into
the
that.
Mike Mayox of the world, saying that he kind of turned his back on one of his favorite players because he bought into the pre-draft hype, and he thinks Trey Boston turned out better than expected. Is Trey Boston better than expected to you?
I think the jury's still out on Trey Boston.
I was going to say same exact thing.
No. So, he after the Minnesota game, when he came back, he and Sticky Wicky returned at the same time, I think. And, boy, there was a lot better athleticism in that secondary when they returned. But I want to see what he does this year. Yeah, I'm going to trust Grant because he's a UNC fan, so he's a little misguided, being a Tar Heel fan. But other than that, he got some good exposure to Trey Boston, so he's got more to lean on than I do. We'll see.
A couple of things going down on Twitter. Susan says it's like family dynamics. I can say something bad about my team, but nobody else can.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
I think so. Is that I talk the most junk about my mama, or my but if anybody says anything about my mom, I'm going to go crazy on them, because that is the truth, is that we can because we're close and we've dealt with their shit. Also,
and that's true, man. Running this website, man, you and freaking Puerto Rican and some other folks, we could get on each other from time to time, but, man, somebody says something about you on Twitter, and I'm like, I'll get all riled up and stuff. So
that's right. We take up for our own. Also, Smoke Wagon says, don't sleep on Frank Alexander. He'll come out like gangbusters next season. You know what, Smoke? Pee in a cup first before I pay attention to that mess. We're waiting. This is what I got to say about Frank Alexander and Mario Addison. When is it finally coming to fruition? Every year, it's Mario Addison, Frank Alexander, Mario Addison, Frank Alexander. I'll see it when I believe it. I hope so. But, maybe that is under the radar. The rotation will certainly help Ely. You got to hope that we have no injuries there.
Yeah.
Mel, last thing on what's hot. Actually, I got to find it first, is what has been actually hot in your mind while I look for this clip and what's been going down with the Carolina Panthers this week?
Well, hey, I gotta toot my own horn a little bit. I put out a story on Sunday about our native Charlatan, our interview tonight, Jarrett Boykin.
That's right.
That story went hot, man. I know you have trouble remembering 48 hours ago, but that story was hot. It was all over. Tell me, Facebook.
You had some comparisons to make.
I did. I'd love to see somebody on Twitter kind of put out there and see if they back me up on this. But go read my story. It's still out there at www.carolinacatchronicles.com, talking about why Panther Nation should be excited about Jarrett Boykin. The guy went to Butler High School. Great story. Guy coming back home to Charlotte. Interested to see what he has to say about that. And then Also, my comparison, very similar in size and very much a special teams ace, which I think is the primary reason Jarrett Boykin's coming to Charlotte. It reminds me of our special teams captain back in the Super Bowl days, back in our run in the mid-2000s, Carl Hankton. He was on all 4 special teams units and was a fill-in wide receiver when needed. Now, I think Boykin can catch a little bit better, or will catch more than Hankton did, who only had 20 catches in his career, in his 8-year career. But great special teams guy, and there's always a role in the roster for a guy like that.
How many tackles did he have on special teams?
The Panthers' leading tackler, 62, still holds the record today.
That's crazy.
He was a beast, man.
That's like 4 tackles a game.
Yep.
Well, actually, it's probably 1 tackle a week on special teams. You know, I think this is, I like the idea. I felt that was measured. I thought that was a very thoughtful way of approaching it. I'd like to see Boykin produce more on the offense, even more. I think
I would like that too. Yeah.
He can make a home on special teams, but I think, and speaking of Boykin, we're going to talk to him in about 12 minutes. About a half past the hour, we're going to bring on Carolina Panthers wide receiver Jarrett Boykin and talk about his preparation for OTAs and training camp. So we'll find out from the horse's mouth what he thinks he can do and what his mindset is going in. But I think last and not least, there's been nothing more talked about in this past week than, well, as usual, Cam Newton. Cam Newton went on a local TV show, news program with Meg Fogarty, I believe her name was.
Morgan Fogarty.
Morgan. Don't call me Meg Ryan, call me Morgan Fogarty. And he had some things to say. And as Cam Newton always does, he was a bit polarizing. Here's Cam Newton this week.
With 26-year-old Cam, what advice would you give rookie Cam?
Oh, wow. Well, take everything with, everything is a learning experience. When I first came into this league, I wanted instant grits, instant gratification. But after talking to so many people, it's the thing for longevity is delayed gratification.
Newton says he's also learning how to lead by watching his teammates.
So much of leadership is being a good follower as well. And one thing that I look forward to is hearing the Thomas Davis speak, is reacting to how Ryan Khalil approached the game, as well as Greg Olsen, get after it each and every day in practice. When I see those type of things each and every day, that makes me a better person. It makes me say, well, let me stop feeling sorry for myself, for my nagging injuries, and say, you know what, I got to be better. I got to become that leader that, I'm supposed to be.
You have been called the NFL's greatest talent and also its greatest unknown. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely not. And I say this with the most humility, but I don't think nobody has ever been who I'm trying to be. You see what I'm saying? Nobody's had the size, nobody's had the speed, nobody's had the arm strength, nobody's had the tangibles that I've had. I'm not saying that to say that, I'm a one-on-one type of person that this league will never see another. No, I'm not saying that. And hear me out. I'm just saying that so much of my talents have not been seen in one person.
All right, so that's Cam Newton on the local podcast. He went on to talk about his dress.
Hey, let me bring up 2 things. First of all, thank God that Cam Newton's learning that instant grits are not the best type of grits. So he's learning, let your grits marinate a little bit. Let them simmer for a while.
He's from Atlanta. He should have known that from the beginning.
Should have known that. Yeah, for real. And then the second thing, hey, I thought about this. What was it, just a few weeks ago, you talked about some type of psychology where if you don't like somebody, you're going to hear something a certain way. If you do like somebody, you're going to hear it a certain way. I think this is a perfect example of that. Somebody's going to listen to that and say, what a cocky SOB. Somebody like me is going to listen to it and say, man, what a thoughtful, measured class act.
I've been trying to sit back and think about this, and I've gone back and forth on this, because first, and you know what, I hate to say this, is y'all know my record on Cam Newton. Y'all know my record on Cam Newton, and you know
Yeah, what's your
that
email address?
CarolinaCatChronicles@gmail.com, and that is Cam is my boyfriend @gmail.com also. But I've gone back and forth, and I think it was Clyde the other day or yesterday that said, I'm sick of bringing out my Twitter sword to defend Cam Newton.
Mm-hmm.
And, I get like that too, Clyde, is that I get to the point where it's just exhausting fighting for. And what I've realized about Cam Newton is he's a unique dude. He is his own guy, and if we want him to be the guy we want him to be, then we're going to be disappointed because he's going to be the guy he is, and we either need to recognize that he's got a certain personality, he
might wear yoga pants on national TV.
Exactly. And that's part of it. Even he went on to talk about his dress in this interview. He said, look, I got to put my own spin on things. He's got to put his own stamp, and I can't be upset with that just because I wouldn't do it myself entirely. So that's one thing I try to keep in the back of my mind. For instance, with the leadership part, of course, you want the guy that's going to come out and give the cleanest press conference, the this and the that. But, he's going to be himself. He's not necessarily hanging out with the boys all the time. He is his own. He's a little individual. He's a little, I would almost say, close to being an introvert, even though he is so Showtime-ish.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. Say that again?
He's complex. He's multi-faceted. Yeah.
He's got a lot of layers to him.
He's at the Preakness, dressed to the nine in a bow tie, carrying a lady across a muddy field so she doesn't have to step in the mud. But that doesn't make national news. This type of thing does. So, he is so confident in himself that I think it can come across as cocky if you don't like him, if you want him to be cocky.
Well, I think, too, what we saw him do is we saw him dip a little bit in that outspokenness in the last 2 years. And I think in a good way is that he kind of became a little bit more reserved. He kind of stepped back, became more of the team guy.
He wasn't Mr. Mopey Head, as Coach Rivera called him.
Right. And he's been more of a team guy. But I'm going to say this, is the quarterback position is the position that wears the laurels when you win and bears the burden when you lose, no matter what. And so I want a quarterback. This is what I've always wanted, and this is what we missed. And this is what we got to give to Jake Delhomme when he was slinging the ball around making stupid-ass decisions half the time, is at least he went down firing.
Yep.
He went down swinging. And you have to have an edge, a confidence. You have to exude when a time when nobody else believes in you, even when the strongest of fans start questioning. Going back to do you remember the Saints game in the rain in 2013 at home where we punted the ball to Drew Brees and with like a minute and 58 seconds left? It was the one where the Hicks dude caught a touchdown with like 4 seconds left to win the game. Nobody.
I block out those types of memories.
No, we won. We won the game at the end. You remember we punted the ball and we were like, "What in the hell?" We didn't go for it.
Yeah. Our guy caught it there at the end. Yep.
It was the monsoon game. I'm telling you, no Carolina Panther fan in this world with a minute and 48 seconds left had any ounce of confidence in what was going to happen. Nobody. And I was there, and I'm sorry, you need a guy that believes in himself more than you do.
What was it, 3rd and 25 on Thursday night against New England Patriots, and the play that will live in infamy? Remember that scramble where he broke like 6 tackles?
Yeah. If he believes, and this is what I tell my students all the time, if I believe in you more than you believe in yourself, we've got a problem. It's just not going to work out. I mean, and so at the end of the day, I'm going to say this is what Cam Newton says is this is what he wants to become. Maybe he could say it a little more eloquently at times, maybe. But I got no problem with Cam Newton wanting to be the man, thinking he is the man, because I'd rather have that than a quarterback that doesn't think he's the man and thinks.
But you know what? He did not. He absolutely did not say there is not another quarterback like me. I'm the best. He didn't say that. He said there has never been anybody that is what I'm trying to be.
And he's 100% right. Is he really wrong in saying this? Has there ever been a guy as big and fast and strong as him?
But, see, he didn't even say that. He didn't even say there's never been anybody as good as I am. He said there's nobody who's been what I'm trying to be. That means he's working his butt off to get better and to be the best. And that's what you want from your quarterback.
Got no problem with it. All right, Mel. A lot of cool things happening in the world of Carolina Panther fans. One of them has us going to a Jacksonville Jaguar game to start the season off in Florida. Who we rolling with? That's a pretty cool shirt you got on. Tell us a little bit about it.
Hey, Panther Nation, I just officially joined the Roaring Riot Club. So if you have not become a member of Roaring Riot, go to their website, roaringriot.com. Check them out, man. That is the best thing going besides C3 in Panther Nation today. I mean, these guys got fan clubs all over the country. They got them in Denver, even got them in Atlanta. They're setting them up in Charleston. The professor's working on one in Greenville. They're all over the place, Raleigh. It's a great way to party with Panther fans, to go to home games, tailgate with them, go on the road even. The C3 guys here, we're going, even me from Las Vegas, I'm joining up, heading down. We're going to Jacksonville, and with I think it's 600 Panther fans all sitting together, taking over the city. $25, you become a member, you get a cool shirt, you get a membership card, you get discounts, you get free beer. Man, that's a great deal. So go check them out.
RoaringRiot.com, and man, they will hook you up if you ever want to go on a road game, man. Make it easy. And you know what? I've talked to a lot of people, just random people that I've run into strangely conversing about the Carolina Panthers, and nobody has ever been disappointed with one of their trips. They always got it going on the home games. Check them out, RoaringRiot.com. Also, if you're looking to buy something for fathers on Father's Day, which is coming up soon, you might do it on the internet. And if you do that, go to Amazon.com. It's real simple. Actually, don't go to Amazon.com. Scratch that. Go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Click the Shop tab, and then shop Amazon. What it does is it takes you to Amazon straight from our website. No hidden anything, no hidden agenda. You go to Amazon, you do your shopping, you get your cool stuff, it's shipped to your house, you got to avoid all the traffic, all the ease and wonderfulness of the internet. You get a cool hat like Mel's got on right there. He bought that on Amazon. And what you do is Amazon is happy that we are pushing people to their business, and they help our business grow as well. So you can do that by going to CarolinaCatChronicles.com, hitting the Shop tab, and then hitting the Shop Amazon tab, or select Shop Amazon, and then just go do your thing. It'll help Carolina Panthers grow. Mel, we've got to hurry because Jarrett Boykin, the Carolina Panthers wide receiver, is coming on in just a couple of minutes, but we got to sneak in one quick segment of Finish That Thought.
Funny. Sometimes I just don't get people. Human beings are so weird. Who talks in front of a camera? By themselves? For fun. We thought that was a good idea. These ideas, some of these things that you use every day. Who's the guy or a girl that was like,
this makes no sense.
Good idea.
That's a good idea.
That's right, it's a good idea, and it's time for Finish That Thought with CarolinaCatChronicles.com. It's where I pose a thought to my buddy, Mel, usually my buddies, but Joe is being the late cool guy, but he'll be here. If not, then we'll carry him in spirits. We love Joe, so it's all right. He's the coolest. It's where I pose a thought to you, and you finish it. Partial thought, and you finish it. Mel, Carolina's team going into camp this season is
full of promise and hope. Man, we stay
flowers and dandelions.
Well, what do you want me to say, man? Like piss and vinegar, like Clyde? Is that what you wanted?
No, but that was really I like it. I like it. Like the dandelion fluff.
There is a lot of hope, a lot of promise, man. We stay healthy. The competition's exciting, man. It really is.
Oh, it's our boy, that freaking Puerto Rican here, just in time for Finish That Thought. Joe Riolano, welcome to the C3 Podcast.
Guys, I'm sorry I'm late. I was running behind all day today playing catch-up, but I'm here now, so let's get it started.
We were in the middle of Finish That Thought, Joe, and you are on, I'm putting you on the spot. Carolina's team going into camp is?
I really believe Carolina's team going into camp is on the verge of greatness.
Wow. Do tell.
We have made significant improvements, and we've kept the guys who got us to where we were last year. I know we were 7-8-1, and that is rather unimpressive, but we won a division, we won a playoff game, and everybody minimizes anything that we accomplish. They try to make it as insignificant as possible. Just look at the odds that were released today. The Colts are favorites to win the AFC, or odds-on favorites to win the AFC and make it to the Super Bowl. And I was listening to some of the pundits, and they were saying Dallas, they were saying Green Bay, Seattle. Not even considering anybody out of the NFC South, but after last year, I can see that. But I really believe they just don't value us. It's gotten to the point where I think they just don't like us. We're a small market team, and I don't know why they hold that against us, but I think they do. I just believe we are on the precipice of something good.
I like it. Andy Massey, our boy the barkeep, said this: I support your lifestyle with Cam Newton. That is so messed up, man.
That is perfect.
Well done, my man.
Perfect.
He won tonight.
Hey, let me tell you, that Andy Massey, man, his stories have been. I think he's put 2 up so far. That guy's got a future, man. He's got some talent, and that was a good one.
I'll invite you to the wedding, Andy.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
So good. That was so good. All right, last Finish That Thought. We're going to move on because we got Jarrett Boykin, folks, Carolina Panthers wide receiver, coming on in just a moment. Cam Newton's physical tools will be. Mel, that's you.
Cam Newton's physical tools will be on display at Bank of America Stadium. I didn't have any time to think about that one there, brother.
Well, you're not supposed to. It's on the. Oh, I forgot to tell you what my Finish the Thought was on Carolina's team going into camp is we're just better, so much better than we were last year. I don't know what that does in relationship to the rest of the league. I'm not ready to make any comments on that necessarily. I need to see us against some competition. But I know if we played our team last year, we would beat that ass easily. Joe, Cam Newton's physical tools will be
what makes him a future and very near future NFL MVP.
Cam Newton's physical tools will be capitalized upon by the young quarterback this season. That's my idea, is that I'm ready to see him put it all together, and I think this is the year. I think we've seen him play. We've seen him purely physical, as him running and getting all the touchdowns and Supermaning in his first season. We've seen him struggle with a bad team and try to force it in his second season. We've seen him become a team player in the last 2 seasons, and last year we saw him become a better quarterback mentally. He started to do better with adversity, leadership. This year, his physical tools will be capitalized upon and make him great. This is the season for Cam Newton, folks. Guys, it is time to jump in. We landed another great interview, guys. Jarrett Boykin, former Green Bay Packer, is going to come on the C3 podcast. Wide receiver, also forced 2 fumbles in special teams last year. Guy out of Virginia Tech, and also played a little high school football at Butler High School in Charlotte. This is Jarrett Boykin bringing you, this is a C3 podcast bringing you another great interview. A C3 exclusive. I'd like to welcome Carolina Panthers wide receiver Jarrett Boykin to the C3 podcast. Thanks for joining us.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me.
Look, we're wanting to know this, is how excited are you for OTAs and training camp to begin?
I'm really excited. I mean, more focused than ever. Just, like I said earlier when I first signed, just blessed for the opportunity to come in and prove myself and get back to the player that I know I can be.
When do workouts begin for you? When are you going to have to report and do all of that jazz next?
Well, we've been working out the past few weeks, but stuff against the defense starts on Tuesday, so we'll get out there, scripted plays against the defense, and do that type of stuff.
Awesome. What have you been doing to prepare for going into camp this season?
I mean, training hard, working out, getting conditioning right, ball drills, route running, and to go along with the stuff we do over at the facility from time to time.
Do you have guys that you work out with regularly?
Not necessarily like on the team wise. That when I go in there, we just lift in our certain specific position groups. But outside of the place, I work out with people I grew up with that plays in the league, and we just go over stuff that we've been doing while we've been in the league together.
Is it hard as a receiver to work, to just have a guy to throw with you, or do you just have some buddies that like you work on your routes and things like that with that will keep throwing the ball to you?
Sometimes it's kind of hard because you don't really have the exact same timing down, or the stuff doesn't come like how it would come if you're with a pro quarterback. But anytime you can get some work in with some guys who's able to get that make it beneficial, it helps a lot. But there are also guys who I know that plays in the league, and we all get together over the summer or whatever, and we throw it in. So it all accommodates for itself.
Could you tell us, Jarrett, how you think you can help the Carolina Panthers?
I mean, I bring in a physical body style. I mean, a big body, like a long, not 6'5", 6'4", like Kevin Funches, but a big physical guy who's willing to block and make the hard catches and do all those things to attack the middle.
What do you think? What are your expectations personally for this offseason and ultimately this season in Carolina?
First, establish my identity and establish a role and take flight from there. I mean, I'm willing to do anything the coaches ask for me for special teams, offense, everything. Just want to come in and contribute and help win games.
That's Jarrett Boykin, Carolina Panthers wide receiver, guys. We've got more on that interview coming right up. Joey, what do you think about this? One of the things I wanted to kind of ask him about is it seems like a strange position to have to train for. Do you just get your neighbor to throw you the football when you're a wide receiver? What do you do to really practice as a wide receiver other than conditioning like he was saying?
Well, I think one thing that you do is you practice your timing of like going up for high passes. You have hopefully the guy who's throwing to you or whoever you have playing the quarterback is good enough to make you kind of work in a radius where catching this side, going high, going low, sort of just getting your muscles used to stretching that way, reaching for things, and running your routes, getting in and out of your turns quickly, using your arms to help you, make that turn faster or make the cut faster. There's definitely plenty he can be doing to practice his craft, to hone his skills, for sure.
All right, we're going to jump in. We're just going to keep plowing through. We've got Moy. We got Moy from Boykin. More from Jarrett Boykin, Carolina Panthers wide receiver, right now on the C3 podcast. You came to Carolina after spending 3 years with the Green Bay Packers. I saw a quote from Aaron Rodgers that stated something to the effect that you were always in his hip pocket wanting to get better as a receiver, learn more about the game and route running and becoming a precise wide receiver. What about your time in Green Bay helped better equip you as an NFL player?
It makes you become a professional up there. I mean, they do things the right way. I mean, the organization was a great organization. Great players and mentors that I was fortunate enough to be around, like you said, with Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson and Donald Driver, Greg Jennings, Randall Cobb. And just sitting back and learning from those guys when I had the opportunity, and then getting on the field to actually put forth the things that I learned, it was just tremendous. But like you said, being an A-Rod pocket, I mean, he's a perfectionist. And you guys can see that, and that's the kind of person you want to be around when you're young, because you want to be where he needs you to be in certain situations, at a certain time, as far as like time standpoint with the football. So take advantage of that, and it'll help you as a player.
I also saw that your special teams coach at Green Bay had a lot of good things to say about you always giving it, essentially, coming in there and doing whatever was needed. We also talked to Jason Trusnick, who is going to be on the Carolina Panthers as a linebacker and a special teams player. He said that he's made a living for 9 years, finding his niche on special teams. Is this something that you believe you can contribute greatly to with the Carolina Panthers and excel at?
Yes. Even last year when I had a lot of snaps on special teams, I bought into it all the way. I mean, that's a different aspect of the game. That's momentum changers, is game changers, and big plays and field position stuff happens off that phase of the game. And with that being said, like, I take pride in the stuff I do on special teams, and I want to block kicks, create fumbles, and do those type of things. It was fun.
You certainly had a good go at that last season, but we want to see you crack that wide receiver core, and I know you do as well. Have you worked with Coach Pro much to this point, and what are your impressions about him and him being able to help you become a crack that rotation?
Yeah, we've worked with him. Like I said, we get together and do position-specific drills recently, but he's a great guy. I mean, he's a fun coach to be around. He brings the best out of you, and you shouldn't want to do anything else but put forth your best when dealing with him, because he's there to help you grow and build. And with the room we got, there's great potential in there to take that step to become a great receiving unit.
I can't wait to see how he helps you, or how you progress being a long Coach Pro. We always think highly of him. You went to Butler High School. Is it nice to be back or in the old stomping grounds? And did this help your decision in coming to Charlotte?
Yes, it really did. I mean, been away from home for like 7 years, and the opportunity to come home and given this chance was a blessing. Like I said, I grew up watching the team because I'm from here, and being close to a great supporting cast and people who are pulled for me in the city is always a good thing. So why wouldn't you want to do anything else but go out and put forth your best?
How cold is it in Green Bay, really?
I get that question a lot, but it's cold to other people, I guess, but not necessarily cold to me because I became used to it. But it's at a point where if it's 30 degrees or 20 degrees outside, you're loving it. It's summertime to you.
Oh, my gosh, what a transition back to the Carolinas.
A big transition, but it never really bothered us. I mean, you get used to it. You practice out there, you're in it all day, prepare for cold weather games. So what a great place to start at to get you used to it.
Guys, Mel, you heard him talk about special teams. You've heard him talk about his preparation. What are your impressions of Jarrett Boykin just from what you've heard to this point? Because all we've got to go on, and I think I'm confident in saying this, is that we know a little bit about his college career. We know a little bit about him going to Green Bay. You know more about him than, you brought a lot of this to light. But at the very end, a lot of it is superficial. Now that you've gotten to hear from him, what are your impressions of him?
He sounds very focused and cerebral. I think cerebral is a adjective that I would use for that interview. I mean, he's not messing around, man. He's on a 1-year deal, right? So he's got to come in. He's got to prove it every day, and he sounds like a man on the mission. But I don't want people to misunderstand when I said I see him as Carl Hankton. The guy has receiving skills. There's no doubt about it. 2 years ago, he had 648 yards, which is more than any receiver not named Kelvin Benjamin last year for the Panthers. So the guy's got real potential. It's
2 years in a row, by the way. 2 years in a row that knocks out Carolina Panther wide receivers. I think 2013, what would that been? I feel like it was a close race between Steve Smith and Ted Ginn.
That's probably right, yeah. But that year, that was the year that Greg Jennings had just moved on. Randall Cobb got hurt. I think Jordy Nelson was hurt, so he got a chance to play. And then everybody comes back healthy, and the Packers drafted Devontae Adams, I believe is his name. I might have butchered that a little bit, but they drafted a rookie in the second round that came out and played very well, and he didn't get much playing time. So
no, Devontae Adams is right.
Yeah.
Devontae Parker is the Miami guy.
Right. So he's got an opportunity to crack the rotation. We'll see how he does.
Joey, I like that description, cerebral, that Mel gave, and being around A-Rod, you heard about the perfectionism. That's who we really wanted. Joey's bouncing in and out, so Mel, I'm gonna tell you this while Joey's back. There he is. Joe, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
You heard the cerebral description from Mel. I felt the same way when I was talking to him. Very cordial, very nice guy. He has been nothing but nice and personable to me in setting all this up. Just a wonderful person. But it was Memorial Day, it was Cookout Day, and I felt like this man was business. I felt like it was a very business-like, and I'm not talking about the interview being business as in like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to put on my suit and tie, so I can do this interview with these wacky-ass Panther fans doing this podcast, and I got to make sure I don't say anything wrong. I felt like this guy was like, hey, treating this like a job.
Mm-hmm.
And I got no problem with that. In fact, after that, in that business-like presentation, I'm scared about just what he's going to do this receiving core in a good way. You better watch out, Panther.
You're not scared, you're excited.
There you go. They better be scared. They better be scared because if they're playing their Madden games and hanging out, my man's coming to work today, tomorrow.
That's right.
He's punching the clock.
Wearing that hard hat. Bringing that Charlotte, North Carolina mentality, man.
Yeah, bringing the lunchbox. That's what
Joey,
we want.
did you feel that way? Because we're going to jump into the last segment of the interview, the longest segment. Anything else you want to say on the
It sounds to me like he's very focused. Like he realizes this is a tremendous opportunity for him. I really believe that. He can make this roster as a special teamer, yes, but also he can make it as a contributor on the offense.
I agree. Here's more from Carolina Panthers wide receiver Jarrett Boykin. After becoming the Virginia Tech Hokie all-time catch leader, you went undrafted in 2012 and did not make the final roster with Jacksonville. Was this emotionally strenuous, and how did you build from this positively going forward? Because then you landed in a great spot in Green Bay.
All right. Yeah, unfortunately things didn't pan out the way that it happened with the rookie camp. Then Green Bay came calling right after that, and was fortunate enough to land a spot for camp and make the team for 3 years. And kind of say it's a blessing in disguise, but also the work ethic you put into it. I mean, I was just determined and focused. I mean, when you want something hard enough and bad enough, you put forth your best effort, and you don't want to be denied. So I figure you bring that mentality wherever you go, it'll all work out.
Man, that's what we want in Carolina. Look, I have to admit, I'm not a Virginia Tech fan. I'm a proud ECU Pirate. And that's right. And what I remember most about Jarrett Boykin is not an impressive season in Green Bay in 2013, but instead a 69-yard touchdown you caught to put the nail in the coffin in a very exciting game in 2010. Do you remember playing the Pirates in that game by any chance?
Oh, 2010, man. We've had some games, but yes, I remember. I also actually broke a record when we played the Pirates. That's the one game I do remember.
What record specifically did you break against my Pirates?
If I'm not mistaken, it was like most catches in the season.
Oh, wow.
It was in ECU. It might have actually been the exact same game. Or probably not, no.
I know this is that you can. I know that you got the better of us that day, but just to let you know, ECU guys got you guys last season.
Yeah, they did. They did. I hope they're going. That's a great program. They're gonna get back together.
Okay, since it's Memorial Day, I just got to ask you one light question. Are you a hot dog guy or a hamburger guy?
Hamburger.
Okay.
Hamburger with a little bit of ribs and everything else.
Oh, right on. You are from the Carolinas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, last question for you. We're big on having fun at C3, and we have nicknames for everybody. I go by the professor because in my real job I am an instructor at a community college. My buddy, who was my college roommate that started the show with me, he's that freaking Puerto Rican, and the guy that does our draft stuff, we call him Mel Mayock. So do you have any nicknames that we should know about?
No, not necessarily. I don't really have anybody calling me anything outside of the norm. I mean, they call me Boyk. I go by Boyk, B-O-Y-K. But I have people that I know kind of call me Doc or Surgeon, but that's just like a motivational standpoint to stay focused and do everything strategically planned out and be precise with everything, which I try to be.
It was the rapper Cameron before your time? Because I mean, I hate to date myself here, but that was like who one of the guys I listened to coming up.
Was who?
You know Cameron?
Cameron, yeah.
He sings that song, boy, oh boy. So I was thinking about we could call you Fly Guy because that was his nickname, or Dipset Don.
I don't know about Dipset Don, but I guess we can go with Fly Guy.
All right. Tell us the last thing, and then we'll let you off the hook, is tell us what should we know about Jarrett Boykin going into this season?
I mean, you're getting a very hungry player that doesn't need a lot of motivation to get going. I mean, he's already set to go, and he's ready to do things that he was set out to do in the past season, and I'm ready to take a step forward and keep working and busting my tail to get back to that point.
Man, we are excited to have you. We have been following you closely. We've gotten a lot of great feedback on the stories we put out about you, and we're excited to see you really contribute to this 2015 team. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us, Mr. Boykin, and have a happy Memorial Day. That's Jarrett Boykin of the Carolina Panthers, wide receiver. Man, Fly Guy. Gonna make it, guys. I'm a little interested to watch this. I think that Jarrett Boykin has a real shot at, like Joe said, contributing. Another great interview, Joe. What do you think about this? What do you think about the Jarrett Boykin? Another great interview for the C3 podcast.
I think it's fantastic. I think we are hitting all the right people. These guys are new to the team. They can come in and be impactful, and that's what we want. We know who we have in Kuechly and Davis and Cam. We know, and yes, don't get me wrong, I'd love to get those guys on. But
y'all are welcome. Open invitation.
These guys are fresh, and we haven't seen them. So by doing these interviews as fans, we're getting to know them a little bit.
Clearly, and that's what we're trying to do as fans, is get to know these guys a little bit better. Another guy that looks like we're going to get to know, another exciting wide receiver prospect. Demir Bird, former USC Gamecock backyard baller. I think it looks like I landed it today, setting it in stone, chiseling it out, guys, for Tuesday night.
That
Mel,
was just for Susan, right? That was just for Susan, right?
Just for Susan and Grant.
There you go. That's right. That's right. Man, both of these guys show a lot of promise. I was getting into a Twitter argument tonight before the show, somebody saying that Demir Bird's practice squad material. I don't think so, man. That guy is quick as a cat and has rare skills, rare separation capabilities. He's a little bit slight, 5'9", about 180 pounds. That's why he went undrafted. But, hey, I think he makes the team. Looking forward to hearing him.
Guys, we're running overboard tonight, and we need to run through a couple of things. What I want to talk about real quickly is both the wide receiver core and the running back core. Wide receivers, we got a lot of them, guys. Kind of the opposite problem from last season. Last year we were old and busted. This year we're young and unknown a little bit. We got Funches. We know Kelvin Benjamin. We got Boykin. We talked about Demir Bird, who we're bird watching for next week. Demir Bird, excuse me. And I always struggle late in the podcast. We have other guys, Jericho Cotry, the elder. We have Philly Brown, Stephen Hill, Ted Ginn Jr. Sunshine, don't worry about him. Joey, what are you thinking about just breaking down this wide receiver core? What do you see the major obstacles going in for the Carolina Panthers this season? What do you there's got to be some concerns.
My concerns, the biggest thing for me with our receiver core, and I think it almost runs across the board, is inconsistencies in catching and actually catching the ball.
Gosh, is that not a problem?
It is, and it sometimes it doesn't hurt you, but there are times when you gotta make the catch, and it can cost you drives, which cost you opportunities, which cost you points, and that's the biggest problem I see that this group has to overcome, is their inconsistency catching the ball.
You got Kelvin Benjamin, who led the league in had one of the higher percentages in drop rates last season. I think roughly it was 8 out of 64 passes he dropped or something like that, which was 8.8%. You got Devin Funches, who's known for dropping the ball in Michigan and says toe hurt the whole time. And I hope that's I hope we can get the concentration and change that around. So you got two guys that are inconsistent, like you said, but Kelvin Benjamin made spectacular catches. It was the routine balls that he dropped. It was the routine plays, and it was a lack of focus. We saw that he talked about being mentally tired, as he hit game 12. And, understandably so. I think there's a learning curve for that. I hate to just say, oh, we're going to come back to, hey, the Carolina Panther, the C3 podcast is just going to hype up the dude that was on the interview. But maybe that's where Boykin can come in and be more like what a Jericho Cotry is for this team, but a younger version of that. And that is, he's played in a program that doesn't, you think Aaron Rodgers is going to be like, oh, thanks for making that great, fantastic catch, but then you drop that routine one, and we're okay? I don't think so. I think that maybe there's a professionalism that could rub. Maybe you see Boykin make this over Jericho Cotry. That's what I'm coming out of this conversation with. Mel, how do you feel about that? Joe mentioned the inconsistency of catching. Do you think that? What do you see? How do you see this translating? What are your concerns with the wide receiver position?
Well, my concerns have been finding a guy that you can count on that's going to be where he's supposed to be, going to get in and out of his breaks, and has chemistry with Cam. The one thing I was disappointed in today being the start of OTAs, is, man, Cam is back healthy, finally gets some time to get some one-on-one practice with Kelvin Benjamin. And Benjamin's got a sore hamstring, so he's missing OTAs. The more repetitions they get, the better off they're going to be. But we got to have somebody that can add some speed, some quickness to this unit. And as the freaking Puerto Rican says, somebody that you can rely on to catch the ball. So, somebody mentioned earlier this week that the Panthers, I think it was Grant Hughes, said that may actually go with 7 wide receivers this year. Devin Funchess being that slash tight end wide receiver type of skill set. Maybe you only keep 2 tight ends this year and you keep an extra wide receiver. I think you're going to need Bird, and you're going to need Philly, and you're going to need Ted Ginn. You're going to need that speed to open things up. Sorry about the Ted Ginn reference there.
Ouch.
He was Cam's favorite target years ago.
He was. Is that I think this is where I get hung up on Ted Ginn, is that I just think he should be more.
Yep.
I mean, it was the 8th round draft pick, or whatever it was. I mean, I just feel like his size, his speed, he should just be better than he is. I don't feel like he does what he is supposed to do at the level.
His best year was when?
With Carolina.
Yep.
But even then, it was 580 yards receiving. You know what I'm saying? Jarrett Boykin had a better season his only year.
But that's not bad if he's a 3rd or 4th wide receiver.
Right. We'll see. But another issue with this, Damiere Byrd, supposedly from the Charlotte Observer, has problems catching the ball. I have seen a lot of South Carolina fans saying this isn't the case. And this is just them trying to find a knock on the guy. I don't know which one is the truth, but I know this is that Damiere Byrd can beat Ted Ginn Jr. in a race.
Not many people on this earth can say that either.
Not many can say it. All right, quickly, let's talk about the running back situation. Do you guys feel better or worse about the running back situation going into this season? Joey, what are your concerns? What is there optimism surrounding this position?
There is optimism, but I guess it's measured optimism. We need Mike Tolbert to be healthy if he makes the team. We need some good play from the rookie we drafted out of Auburn, Cap. We need Fozzie to contribute. I like the role he played last year. I really do, kind of, returning kicks and then coming in on 3rd down. And I think he makes a really good change of pace back. He came in and caught that screen against the Saints,
Arizona.
Was it?
That was Arizona in the playoffs.
Arizona in the playoffs, yeah. He came in and caught the screen and ran it in for a touchdown. That's the kind of thing he brings you, that quickness, that elusiveness.
But dang it, Shula, why not do that more often? Why didn't he get more chances than that?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm optimistic, but at the same time, we're a little less experienced because D. Will's gone. Tolbert was really nothing last year. He was really absent. He was on the team, but he didn't really show up for anything. So there are some concerns, but I am excited about the addition of Cap. I think he can really come in and contribute right away. And I like the fullback that we have. That's going to be interesting, bringing in a real fullback, a true fullback.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see what he's able to do and how our offense will look with
Don't tell that to Tolbert's mama, though, but you're right.
No, don't poke Mama Bear. Mel, do you feel better about the running back situation this season, and in comparison to the wide receiver position, how do you grade it?
Well, surprisingly, I mean, Joe, you hit the ball out of the park there, but you left out one running back, our starter, Jonathan Stewart. Right. This is one of the few years in the offseason that.
No, Joey said, he's going to be. He really didn't forget about him. He just knew.
Oh, did he? Okay. Well, that was too many appearances on my part, dude. I didn't hear you bring up Stewart.
No, he didn't say
you're
it.
Right. You're right.
No,
you're right,
he's
man.
right. He's saying you didn't forget about. I was joking.
I got it. All right. Well, hey, this is one of the few off seasons we're not hearing about Jonathan Stewart's ankles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not hearing about him riding a bicycle during OTAs. So if that continues, I'm very optimistic. I mean, he is a stud when healthy, and then you bring in some fresh blood in Cap, and then you got Fozzie as a third down back, and you got some other guys out there, you know, that are looking the part too, like Todman. I think we got some good fresh blood and some good change. I think it was good to get D-Well out of here. I like the guy, and hey, thanks for everything he did, but it was time. It was time to move on.
You know, even he said this on Twitter this week.
Yeah.
I saw him go on and say, you know, this was the organization did the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he finally took his medicine finally. You know, I'm interested. I think Joey is right. I think there's some cautiousness that we need to have here. Is you know, we like to see. I think there's more. It's more defined, the running back spots.
Yeah.
Like what guys, what we require of them, what we expect out of them. But we got to see it. We got to see Fozzie. We got to see him break a couple.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see Jay Stu stay healthy, and we really want to see this Cameron Artis-Payne come in and win the job almost. I mean, that would be cool. Wouldn't that be neat?
Yeah.
I think this is my question is. I hope the wide receiver core has less questions than the running back, and if that's the case, we're in a good spot.
Agreed.
I don't know if that's the case though, but I hope so. I think, guys, Joey, tell them they need to buy tickets to the Carolina Panthers games. Where would they do this at?
For all your ticket purchases, whether it's Panther games, concerts, whatever you need ticket-wise, make sure you go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com and look for the Ticket Monster. You can't miss him. He's ugly as you know what. But click on that. It'll get you to their site where you can get your tickets for whatever event you're looking for. You'll spend less money. There's no service fees. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's free delivery.
It is, no doubt.
And Mel, you would know that because you recently purchased some tickets from them, did you not?
I have. I just went to a Dodgers game 2 weeks ago, saved $37 on 5 tickets, and I'm actually taking my entire sales team to the Colorado Rockies game in about 3 weeks, taking 18 of us to see the Colorado Rockies, and I saved upwards of around $75.
Nice.
I mean, it's a great deal. Free shipping. Actually, they email you the tickets. No fees, no service charges at all. That's really where you save. I mean, Ticketmaster is going to give you handling fees and everything else. Ticket Monster, it's safe. And here's a cool thing we had never talked about on the podcast. At Ticket Monster, they ask you, are you willing to be upgraded? Well, I think we're all willing to be upgraded.
Yes,
and I have been upgraded through them before. Tickets come available through Ticket Monster, and they don't sell prior to the game, they're bumping you up to first class. Ticketmaster.
Wow.
Very
nice.
Man, you just won. Mel just won the plug contest of the night. Good Lord, that was good. All right, guys. Joe, you know what time it is?
It's time to get started.
Backdoor Fiction! That's right, it's time for Backdoor Fiction, or also known as Backdoor Fiction. That's right. Joey, this one's for you. Newton isn't confident, he is arrogant. Fact or fiction?
I'm gonna say that, man, that's a tough one because I think as a fan, you want to have a level of a certain degree of arrogance from your quarterback. And, you know, I guess arrogance is too strong a word. I would say cocky. Because you want him to want to have the ball in his hands. Like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan would never, nobody would ever say Michael Jordan was cocky or arrogant, but he was. He wanted that ball in his hands. When it came down to crunch time, he wanted to be able to prove that he was exactly what everybody thought he was, the greatest basketball player that ever lived. So I think Cam, it fits that same mold.
Mel, Newton isn't confident. He's arrogant. Fact or fiction?
Straight up fiction, man. Arrogance is a quality I hate in people, and I think arrogance is a quality of someone overrating the value of themselves. I don't hear Cam overrating the value of himself. He's out there working hard. He's talking about the man he wants to be, not the man that he was last year. So, straight fiction.
I may say fact here. He is arrogant, but you know what? It doesn't have to be beer or tacos, folks. You can have beer and tacos. You can be confident and arrogant, and I'm an arrogant asshole a lot of times in my life as well, and I got no problem with that. Other than this is don't be a wussy.
Your students would say the same, Tony.
That's right. But you know what? Believe in yourself first, and if they don't believe in you, give them the finger and show them why they should. Cam Newton, you just keep on being Cam Newton. We need you, brother. We love you. Get married soon. Next. Fact or fiction, guys?
Was that a proposal? Was that a proposal, Professor?
Proposal. Andy said his wife wants a +1 and wants to know if there's going to be a little drag at this wedding, and I say yes, because Cam Newton is definitely wearing the girls' clothes.
And you really are going to have some backdoor friction.
That's right. We're bringing this to the next level. Joey.
It was only a matter of time, people.
That's right. Fact or fiction, the camp surprise will come from somewhere other than the running back and wide receiver core.
I'm going to say fiction, because I think the camp surprise will come specifically from the wide receiver or running back group.
Who's your guy?
I think it's going to be a running back. I think it's going to be the fullback from Stanford.
Lee Ward, right?
Lee Ward, that's him.
Pancaker. All right, Mel. The camp surprise will come from somewhere other than the running back or wide receiver core. Fact or fiction?
You know, there's some intriguing prospects back there in the secondary, like Marcus Peters, those types of guys. But I'm going to say fiction, because my guy, I'm bird watching. I think Damiere Byrd is going to be the standout in camp. He was a standout of the rookie camp. I think he continues it.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say the camp surprise will come from somewhere other than the running back or wide receiver core. I'm going to say that is fact, and I don't know if it's going to be a camp surprise as much as Shaq Thompson, folks. Watch out. Shaq Thompson, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Here it comes. I cannot wait to see what this guy adds, the versatility he has this defense. So that's who I'm going to be watching the closest. Joe, last plugs for the show. Tell them what they need to know before we jump into our Ice Up picks. We've done Amazon. We've done Roaring Riot. We've done Ticket Monster. Who's left? Us.
Of course, us. CarolinaCatChronicles.com, the proud website that corresponds with the C3 podcast. We are the #1 Carolina Panthers fan site. We are here for you, the fan, because we ourselves are fans. And let me assure you of one thing, faithful followers of the C3 podcast. Without the fan, football is just a kid's game.
Well said, sir. Well said. Guys, it is time for our favorite segment of the week, and the oldest segment, the realest segment, where we tell someone in the world, whether it be the Twitterverse, whether it be my kids' Little League or Pee Wee team, should I say, to ice up, to toughen up. He was a candidate. Their team was a candidate. They lost 18-0 tonight.
We got our second win tonight, 13-9.
Oh, wow. Joe, it's time for a little ice up. Let me give you one more. Ding, ding, ding. Joey Riolano, do you have an ice up for us? An ice up pick of the week?
I do. I think you have a picture to correspond with that. Now, that is one of the shortest tweets I've ever seen in the entire world, but it says so much. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is Kyle Long. Yes, the Kyle Long that you know from his daddy, Howie Long, the Fox analyst, Fox football analyst. Kyle is a guard for the Chicago Bears. And the gentleman he is referring to with that good riddance tweet is Ray McDonald. Now, Ray McDonald was given a reprieve from the NFL after one accusation of domestic violence that got him cut from the 49ers. He was picked up by the Bears, and right before the start of OTAs, he decides to go out and get drunk. Now, as a drunken defensive lineman, you can imagine this guy is pretty big and can be rather intimidating. Shows up at his baby's mama's apartment that he pays for at 3:45 a.m. Now remember, OTA I think they started today, actually, for the Bears. So he shows up, and supposedly he showed up because he wanted to get some TVs, some high-def TVs or something like that were in the apartment. Well, anyway, I guess he didn't want to.
Can I jump in real quick, Joe?
Yeah, go ahead.
Anytime I show up at a girl's house at 3:45 in the morning, that's what I want to do.
Exactly right.
TV.
Exactly right. So I guess she didn't want to part ways with the TV, and I'm sure she was not thrilled at being woken up at 3:45 in the morning. So anyway, I guess with him coming to the apartment and making, probably pounding on the door, calling, whatever he was doing, she has to get up, but at the same time, the baby wakes up, so she's holding the baby, and he gets in. His baby, right, because it is his baby's mama, and he gets upset because she won't give him the TVs, and he goes after her, and he physically attacks her while she's holding the baby. This, to me, folks, is the epitome of stupid. I mean, this guy is an absolute moron. He was given a reprieve. He was given a second chance.
Seriously.
And you're right before OTAs. You go out and you get drunk, and obviously you can't handle your liquor because you do something stupid. So I say to you, Ray McDonald, blower of the second chance, blower of big time money, ice up, son.
Ice up. Mel, do you got an ice up pick?
I do. I do. Do you have a picture for me?
No, because you told me to change it.
Then I sent you a new one, but that's all right. I can describe
I didn't get to do
it.
it.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. Anytime I get a chance to talk about New England Patriot land, I take advantage of them. I just do not like those folks. Just plain and simple. I just don't. Now, you got a culture of cheating. You've got Spygate. You've got Super Bowl stealing gate from when they play the Panthers. I mean, these guys are just one time after another cheating. And Deflategate is no different. They get busted, but yet they take an indignant approach as to why are you picking on me. So now, tonight, I'm calling out all the New England Patriot fans. And I hate to tell a deceased person to ice up, but, I mean, this lady passed away. She put in her obituary that Tom Brady is innocent. I mean, come on now. Come on.
She didn't do that. Her nephew, her 28-year-old nephew did that.
No, that's even worse. you use your aunt's obituary
as a platform.
Exactly. Then you got these morons out here in the parking lot at a free Tom Brady rally. I mean, the guy clearly was involved in this and was and would not cooperate at all. You know he's done this. You know they cheat upside and down the other. So it just pisses me off that the entitled New England Patriot fan base that last year in Week 4 they were ready to bench him and bring in Garoppolo. They wanted to get rid of Tom Brady.
Yes, they did.
And now they want to do a free Tom Brady campaign. Oh, so all you cheating, lying, stealing New England Patriot fans, Patriot Nation, deceased Patriot fans using platforms, ice up, son.
Ice up. And look, Tom Brady is nowhere in the realm of Nelson Mandela, folks. Jesus.
Exactly. Come on. Free. Jeez. Anyway. Poor Brady.
Yeah, poor Brady. Go home and enjoy your Sunday with your supermodel skinny ass wife, who's too skinny, by the way. Eat a sandwich, Giselle. All right. My ice up pick of the week goes to racist people who don't know they are racist.
Interesting.
And folks, there are a lot of people out there today in this world that I might know, actually, that I have to converse with, that happen to be racist, and they don't realize they're racist.
Pretty
so let me go ahead and tell you guys, if you have to start a statement out by saying, I don't have a racist bone in my body, but you're a racist. If you would not say these things in front of that particular group of people, whether they be Asians, whether they be black, whether they be white, whether they be
Puerto Rican,
Latino,
exactly. That's a great one, because this is that if you wouldn't say that, Joey, in front of a Latino person, and like, oh, I'm not trying to be mean, I'm just trying to say this. If you wouldn't say this straight up to their face and be proud of what you're saying, even if you're talking shit, I'll talk shit to somebody right to their face and be proud of it. But if you won't do that, that comment, folks, is racist. When you make general assumptions about entire groups of people based on their race, you're a racist. And I'm going to tell you this, folks. If you wouldn't say it in front of your grandma, you shouldn't be proud of it. You should get to, just know, folks, stop being silly. This day and age does not accept that anymore. We don't think ignorance is cool. Get with it, folks, and realize this. You're a racist. Sorry.
It's exasperating.
Ice up. Ice up, you non-knowing racist.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
I had this happen yesterday.
You know, the word ignorant and racist go hand in hand, right?
That is so true. That
it's
was
not
so
surprising.
true. The people didn't even know. That was the thing, is that they thought they were being sweet. I was like, up. All right. That's the C3 podcast, guys. This is it's Tuesday night. We're closing it up late. We had a great interview with Carolina Panthers Jarrett Boykin. Next week, looks like we're going to land Demir Bird, former USC Gamecock, fighting hard to win a position on the Carolina Panthers roster, runs a sick 40 time. So we'll see what he's doing to try to crack this 53. Joey Riolano, how can they find you until next Tuesday?
Find me on Twitter at Joe Riolano, and hit me up any time of day. I may not respond to you right away, but I'll get around to you. And next, so what you're saying is, Tony, on next Monday we start bird watching?
We start bird watching, brother. That's right. Get out your binoculars, folks, because Carolina Panthers were bird watching. Mel Mayock, how can they find you?
You can always catch me on Twitter at Panthers Drafter. Always talking Panther football, something crazy going on. But right now, man, my eyes are set on fantasy football. We're past the real draft. We're working on the next version of the C3 Fantasy Football League. It's going to be better than ever. So for all of you out there that are interested in fantasy football and something that's geared specifically to Carolina Panther fans, hey, hit me up on Twitter. Tell me you want in. We'll get your spot reserved. It's going to be awesome this year. The defending champ, Susan, she's got her spot locked in. That's for sure.
For sure.
She wants a New Jersey.
Guys, this is the C3 podcast. This is your boy, the professor, bringing it to you every Tuesday night. That's right, folks. It is the premier Carolina Panthers podcast. you can catch us here next week, bringing it live. And until then, we'll see you on CarolinaCatChronicles.com. That is the show, my homeboys. Peace.